Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My role here is final speaker to summarize the whole game and to prove that our team actually provided better arguments and proved that men are good. But before I do that, I would like to answer on some arguments of the last speaker. First, you were trying to prove that all people in all situations have their personal gains, their personal goals, and they try to get something from other people. But sometimes that happens, and of course there are some bad, some people are not very good. But as my colleagues showed, mostly in majority people are good, and not all people want to achieve something and get something from other people. For example, we already mentioned that people are involved in charity a lot, and of course you can tell that it's only for making other person to be dependent on you, but we are not talking only about money. I can provide one example, which comes from my home country and happened recently. I'm from Russia, and last July there was a huge disaster in one of our cities. There was a huge flood, and the flooding, and the small city was totally ruined. And what happened after that? Hundreds of people all over the country, they just went to that city as volunteers and started to help the people who live there to rebuild their houses and to repair damages just for free, just as volunteers. And they are unknown. We don't know like each person, each of the people. They did not give, they did not do it fame or something. They did it just for their own, just because they are good people. They wanted to help anyone, and they don't want anything in return. So we are not agreeing with this your argument. And also you told that people care only about themselves. I think the example I just provided proves that it's not true. And people are not always driven by their primitive instincts, because we know quite a lot of examples when a person sacrificed his life in order to save other people. For example, to go to the house in a fire and save people who are inside, but he died after that. And I think you could agree that the main instinct of a person is to save his life. But in this case, this instinct doesn't work, because the human nature is very good, and it can go beyond the animal nature of a person's instincts. And and to summarize the game, I think the topic we discussed today is very wide and very philosophical, I would say, and we can debate for a long time, but I think in this debate my team provided clear arguments and showed better that our position is right. And I will show you why it is so. What my team was trying to say, we were trying to prove that people are good they're born to be good. And you were trying to tell us that people are born to be good, and only by some mistakes and by because of the environment, things end up to be bad, and men make mistakes and do some bad things. And you were trying to say that no, people created this environment by themselves. But yes, but we are proving that men are good, but we are not proving that men are God, because people, the environment is so complex that people, even if they are good, they can't predict the consequences of their actions. Because the world is so complex, we can do good things, but when they enter to all this system, maybe the result can be bad. And we did not create all this environment. We did not plan it. It just merged because it is a complex world. And our opposition tried to tell us that people also have bad intentions, and that's why they cannot be named good. But I have just showed in my previous arguments that people in some situations in their life they can be bad, but it doesn't mean that they are always selfish and always bad. They can do good things, and they do, as I have already shown in my team as well. They can do some things out of altruism. And the example which the last speaker gave us, that we always expect something in return from other person, it doesn't mean that we are bad and we care only about ourselves. It's just fair. People have this sense of it. The fairness should be, and of course we expect that other person is also good, and we expect that he will make something good to us in return, because it is good. And the last thing to summarize is that you also try to show us that people end up with bad results, and so they not only have bad intentions, but even worse, they came up with bad results. But first, as I said, the people cannot predict all the results of their actions. And the second, people feel guilt. And it is not true that you said that we don't feel anything. Of course you feel. And just any one of us can feel it. We feel guilt when we do bad things. And this is another proof that people are good. So, thank you.